In the world of technology, there are occasional milestones that have special significance. When this happens, our lives begin to change.
In the 20th century, the future was built in labs. Bell Labs gave us the transistor, the laser, fiber optics, satellites, even Unix. But today, the next wave of world-changing tech isn't coming from a lab. It's coming from something way less formal and way more chaotic. Enter Y Combinator, the startup accelerator behind Stripe, OpenAI, Airbnb, and hundreds more. So, is YC the Bell Labs of our time? In this video, we'll unpack what made Bell Labs so powerful and whether YC is building the future in its own way. But before we get started, if you're into deep dives like this one, if you like the startup world, or if you want to discover behind the scenes of a VC, please hit the subscribe button. I publish a video like this every week. Thank you, and let's get started. Bell Labs wasn't just a research center, it's where entire new fields were invented. But here's the thing, it was not just raw genius that made this work, it was an actual structure. Bell Labs had a lot of things that very ambitious founders dream about. The first being a huge talent density. The best minds in math, physics, engineering, all in the same building, and the building was designed so that they would bump into each other all the time. They also had a mission-driven culture. So they're not chasing quarterly revenue, they were here to build infrastructure and technology for the next 50 years. And most importantly, they had time. Because they were funded by AT&T's monopoly, they were not at risk of running out of money. They're not chasing quarterly revenues. They didn't have VCs putting pressure on them. They could just take their time and innovate, thinking on a 10-year timeline. John Gertner said it best in his book, The Idea Factory. Bell Labs was a place where the future was invented, often years before anyone would understand what it actually means. And that's what most people forget. The future is not built by people trying to ship MVPs. The future is built by people who are so deep into their work that they're actually 10 years early. This was not a WeWork with kombucha on top. It was scientists in a lab coat sketching signal processors on a chalkboard and quietly changing the world. If you're a founder, Bell Labs is like a fantasy. All the funding that you want, all the best talents in the world, and none of the outside noise. If you're an investor, it's the ultimate bet with zero urgency and maximum upside. But here's the twist. Bell Labs build the future from inside a monopoly. Y Combinator, it's building it from chaos. Let's talk about that. YC doesn't have engineers in white coat. It has thousands of scrappy, obsessive founders with demos, traction, and 50 browser tabs open. Where Bell Labs had AT&T's monopoly money, YC has something even more interesting, the power law and the speed of software. Every startup in a YC batch gets a $500,000 check and then gets thrown in the arena where they have 12 weeks to build something that matters. YC is not a mentorship program. It's a distributed ambition engine. It has selection bias towards obsessed builders, structured mentorship, and a public forcing function, demo day. And that demo day, it's not artificial, it's acceleration. And look, Bell Labs and YC, it's not just two different eras, it's two different universes. At Bell Labs, they wore suits to work. At YC, someone demoed their MVP from their garage with no shoes on. Bell Labs had chalkboards, YC has Figma, Twitter, and PTSD from Heroku outages. That's the contrast. Same ambition, but whole new different operating system. Bell Labs had hallways where Nobel Prize winners would literally bump into each other. YC recreates that serendipity, but at scale, with batch events, with group office hours, and of course, Telegram threads at 2 a.m. It's a density of ideas that makes the right collision inevitable. Structurally, it's brilliant. Let me put it this way. Bell Labs had Nobel laureates, YC has 19-year-olds who won't sleep until they ship. Bell Labs run on theory, YC runs on traction. And the network, that's the real leverage. YC founders share intros with each other, they swap hires, and they remix playbooks that really work. It's not just support, it's amplification. And every few months, YC hits launch on 100 new experiments. and one of them might become the next Stripe. The only question is, can you spot it before the rest of the world does? So if YC is today's Bell Labs, just faster and messier, the real question is, what happens when you give that much leverage to that many ambitious people? To answer that, we've got to go back and look at what Bell Labs actually gave us. Bell Labs didn't just invent the transistor, it invented the conditions that made the digital age possible. Transistors didn't just shrink machines, they gave us personal computing. The phone or computer you're watching this on wouldn't exist without them. Satellites became GPS and global broadcasting. Information theory became the foundation of the internet. Optical fiber gave us fast internet at home. The solar cell they invented powers clean energy. And the C language they invented, it's still in your stack. These weren't just inventions, they were revolutions. No launch tweets, no TechCrunch article, just brilliant people solving really hard problems and accidentally reshaping the way we live, work, and think. John Gertner puts it best into The Idea Factory: the goal was not to shape society, but society was shaped nonetheless. Bell Labs made the modern world think in bits, not atoms. And we're still living in that reality. Every time you send a message, use a map on your phone, or write code, you're standing on top of something Bell Labs built. Now, here's the wild part. Think about it. Bell Labs gave us the transistor. YC gave us digital wallets, the AI assistant, and your latest Airbnb host named Valentin who handed you the keys at midnight. One shaped the 20th century. The other one might shape everything else. YC companies aren't just building products. They're rewriting culture. Stripe changed how money moves. Airbnb changed how we travel and how we trust strangers. OpenAI is redefining how we think about intelligence, creativity, and work itself. These aren't just tech shifts, they're cultural rewrites. And the most powerful YC companies, they don't just raise rounds, they shift the narrative. They become the origin stories of entire ecosystems. Unlike Bell Labs, YC doesn't operate behind closed doors. It's open sourced, international, and decentralized. Bell Labs was a building, YC is a network. And that network is already writing the rules of the next generation's culture. Because at the end of the day, Bell Labs made the world run on bits. YC startups are teaching it how to think. So if YC is shaping the next era, what does that mean for people building inside it? And just as important, what should investors be looking for now that the rules are changing? Let's discuss that. If you're a founder, here's the truth. You're not just applying to a program, you're plugging into a machine. YC is like a distributed Bell Labs, but instead of 100 scientists, it's 100+ founders all building at the same time. Every batch is a wave of live experiments. You're not just pitching, you're entering a real market collider. And if you're an investor, you're not just backing companies, you're backing a system that generates future-defining tech at scale. Most funds are out there chasing unicorns. YC, it creates a portfolio of black swan, and you get a shot at the next one every 3 months. That's why I built my fund around YC. The hit rate is higher, the founders are sharper, and the outcome compounds almost faster than anywhere else. Look, I'm biased. I've built my own thesis around this machine. And if you want to invest in the next wave of weird, fast, and obsessed YC founders, well, you know where to find me. Because whether you're building or investing, YC isn't just where startups launch. It's where the future markets are forged. YC isn't a school. It isn't a traditional VC either. It's something else entirely. It's an infrastructure layer. It's a kind of operating system for modern innovation. It is the closest thing we have to coordinate and compound inventions at scale. Gary Tan calls it the tree of prosperity, a network that grows bigger and stronger every time a founder builds, ships, or helps another founder. And honestly, that metaphor holds up. Bell Labs changed the 20th century, YC is changing the 21st. But in a way that's messier, more decentralized, and maybe more powerful. Because if you want to bet on the future, you can do a lot worse than starting where it is getting built. and YC is where the future is getting built. If you've worked at a YC startup or built one, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. And if you like more deep dives like this, hit the subscribe button because I've got a bunch of more videos like this coming. I publish every week. Thank you so much.